Welcome to Biohacking with Brittany. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode. I'm your host, Brittany Ford, and I am a content creator, podcaster, nutritionist, and new mama on the block, if you want to say. And this is a place where I talk about health and wellness and really how to optimize those areas. I focus a lot on women's health and motherhood, to be honest, which includes fertility, pregnancy, postpartum, and baby health and wellness. And I am super excited to bring you this episode. This is a Q&A episode, and I am trying to do Q&As every Friday now. I get so many questions in my DMs, and sometimes the questions are just honestly beyond the scope of me being able to answer in an Instagram reply. Like, I really do need to hop on the podcast or hop on a call to be able to, give support and advice and my 2 cents and my recommendations and my own experience. So that's kind of where this came from. I was doing a lot of solo episodes in 2024 and on topics that were relevant to me and to you. But then I thought, let's just take the questions you're sending me and let's just put it into a podcast episode. So every Friday is a Q&A. I'm doing 3 questions per Q&A episode. And then Tuesdays, I am bringing you fresh interviews. And shout out to the interview from this week, which was with Genexa. If you haven't listened to it, go and listen to it. This was a really, 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 really interesting episode because we talked about clean medicine. Now, I had never even realized that medicine could be clean in a sense, right? We talk about clean eating and non-toxic living and clean everything. Everything can be clean and natural and healthier. And I didn't really realize we could take those same principles and apply it to medicine and over-the-counter drugs. Specifically acetaminophen, which is the which is the active medical ingredient in Tylenol. So we talk about that, and Genexa basically came out with a cleaner version of Tylenol. So super fascinating episode. I got to sit down with the co-founder and got to really just pick his brain and say, look, how did you do this? Why did you do this? How is this even possible? Genexa is going against massive, massive fish in the sea, right? We're talking about going up against a company like Tylenol, which is huge. So very groundbreaking episode. Loved it. If you are looking for healthy, let's say healthier, clean medicine to have in your medicine cabinet, in case something happens for you or for your kids or your babies, Genexa is the way that I would go. I have their Genexa baby cold and cough medicine. I've never used it. But if Callahan had a really high fever and we needed to bring the fever down, that is something that I would use. He had a mild fever, I think, in December, and it didn't justify using it. And there's other ways to kind of bring down a fever. And then there's the whole philosophy of fever is actually really good for the body. But that being said, it still gives me a peace of mind to have it in my medicine cabinet if I were to ever need it. Super cool episode. Please listen to it. And I think you're going to get a lot out of it. And we are now putting my episodes on YouTube. So give me a little break. I'm kind of figuring out my office setup still. There's plants everywhere. Nothing is fully optimized yet because I am working, I am mothering, and just trying to make it all kind of come together. So, but we are doing videos, and that video is on YouTube as well. Biohacking with Brittany. You can check it out. And let's dive into today's episode. This is a Q&A. But before we dive in, a shout out to Lila Quantum Tech. They have finally created underwear that protects against the woman's body and sits against the woman's body and protects against harmful EMF irradiation all around us. This matters a lot. Especially if we're talking about regulating your menstrual cycle, if we're talking about fertility and pregnancy, even postpartum, even if we talk about perimenopause and menopause, The ovaries are an organ, a reproductive organ that secrete hormones, but also store our eggs. And so they're so important to protect. I cannot stress it enough. And we need to really think about how our environment is impacting our ovaries at this point. Some people might think it doesn't matter, it has no impact, but there's actually a lot of research out there that shows that EMF is harmful to the human body, that radiation, 3G, 4G, 5G, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, all these different signals penetrate within the body, within the tissues, and cause cells to function differently. It's kind of scary, actually. And the research behind EMF, if you actually take a look on like PubMed or different places like that, goes back years. Like I'm talking like 30 years. Like this is not something that like people started looking into a few years ago. It's very in depth. So with something like Lila Quantum Tech, you can use their underwear, protect your ovaries. I highly, highly suggest it. I wear mine, for example, when I ride my Peloton. Peloton uses Wi-Fi. I haven't hardwired my gym. It's probably a good idea, but I haven't done it. I will use my Bluetooth headphones. I know when I ride my Peloton, mostly because if, my baby's in the house, someone else is taking care of him. He doesn't really need to hear me grunting along to like Alex Toussaint's Club Bangers 45-minute ride. Okay. Like he doesn't need to hear that. So yeah, that's kind of the reason why when I'm home alone though, I just play it through the speaker. And then I also wear it when I'm working at my desk, like right now, my laptop's around me, that type of idea. So there definitely are some hot spots in my life personally that I wear them and think that they're important. I think if you're somebody who goes to an office downtown in a busy city, if you go to a Peloton class or you have a Peloton at home, if you are working from home with your laptop on your lap by your ovaries, really got to think about this. Okay. So I highly, highly suggest getting a pair of Lila Quantum Tech, get a pair of their underwear, get a couple pairs. I have their cheeky ones and I have their full coverage ones. I think this is the way to go with it. I use both. And size up. I will tell you that. Size up because they fit tight because the fabric has silver woven into it. You can use my discount code BioHackingBrittany. Will save you, I think it's 10% off of all of their products. If you bundle some of the underwear together, you get a discount, and then you could actually use my discount on top of the bundle discount. That's right. Discounts on discounts. Okay. So enjoy that and let me know what you think. Okay. Let's dive into today's episode. My baby is napping right now. I say my baby as if I don't say that his name's Callahan. His name is Callahan. He is napping. And so here we are in my office recording an episode. Speaking of, I don't know if I want to get into this right now, but there's a very controversial book out there called Being There. And it's all about mothering in the first 3 years and the impact on baby's health and brain development and the impact of daycare on baby's development and brain health, behavioral health, and things like ADD, ADHD, all sorts of things. And the book is very eye-opening. So thinking about bringing the author onto the podcast, but it's also a very sensitive topic for many parents out there because daycare is so popular now. And she basically just says it's terrible for your baby's health and here's why and here's what you should do instead. So we'll see. I definitely agree with some of her points. So that episode might be coming later down the year. If you're interested in that type of content, please send me a message because then I will actually make it happen. Yeah. For me right now, I'm moving into this phase where, I think my new hashtag or my new saying is family health first. People say family first, but I'm saying family health first. And so how do we make the best decisions every single day? By putting our family's health first. It's a big question. So let's dive into today's episode. First and foremost, this is, I kind of summarized the question a little bit for this one. So this is a woman who's been in my DMs quite a few times, and she is, I think she said she's 31. She's struggling with low estrogen and progesterone. So she wrote, How can someone like me or women with low progesterone and low estrogen naturally balance hormones, increase these, and support the menstrual cycle health? She doesn't have any kids. I think she might be looking into fertility in kids later on. She recently came off of birth control in the last few years. And so we were kind of talking about like that. But, I thought this was a great question for the podcast because I kind of get this one quite a few times. So low estrogen and progesterone can lead to irregular cycles, low libido, fatigue, mood swings, and even fertility challenges. So there is a lot of strategies we can actually look at to balance these hormones. Now, none of this is in order, right? Like I'm just going to tell you my thoughts and then we can kind of go from there, but it's not like 1, 2, 3, 4. The first thing that I was thinking of that came to mind was bioidentical hormone therapy, which is known as BHT. So unlike synthetic hormones, bioidentical hormones are structurally identical to what the body produces, making them a safer alternative. Research suggests that bioidentical progesterone, such as compounded creams, can help regulate cycles, support implantation for fertility, and reduce PMS symptoms. Estradiol is the most bioavailable form of estrogen replacement. So for this, I will link the progesterone bioidentical cream that I have used, that my mom uses, that I recommend to people, just so you know, and you have a source for it. You can buy this online. You don't need to go through a doctor. You can look at their website, kind of educate yourself. They did come on my podcast and you can actually listen to that episode. I will also link that episode so you have it very easily and that you can just get more content and kind of understand what, bioidentical hormones are, what this cream does, and really how it impacts you. I'm just grabbing the name of it here. Oh, it's by Platt Bioidentical Hormones, Platt Wellness. So I will link that for you. So the way that this works is like these bioidentical hormones are essentially made from things like yams or some sort of natural compound that is exactly like or very, very, very similar to the progesterone that we make. And you can take this to kind of increase your levels. The recommendation is to take it at night. You can rub the cream on the inside of your elbows, on the back of your neck. Those are like the areas with more delicate skin that can basically soak up the progesterone easier. The episode I did on this was actually super interesting, and it taught me that low progesterone is actually linked to so many, many issues that we're dealing with. Things like irritability, mood swings, headaches, fatigue is a big one, and it can really support during that time. So that is something that you can look into. Obviously, that's not looking at the root cause, but I just wanted to put that there because I want you to have a resource to go to if bioidentical hormone therapy is something that you're interested in. You can also look at phytoestrogens and food-based support. So certain foods contain plant-based estrogens that mimic the body's own estrogen, such as flax seeds, which are high in lignans, which help balance estrogen. You can look at soy, ideally organic soy, fermented miso or tempeh, which contains isoflavones that weakly bind to estrogen receptors. And you can look at things like cruciferous vegetables, broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, which help with estrogen metabolism, reducing excess estrogen dominance. This, I think, can be something that's supportive in conjunction to something else, but I don't think personally that this like food-based sources of these hormones would move the needle enough without doing some of the other things that I'm talking about right now. You can look at liver detoxification. So estrogen is metabolized in the liver through phase 1 and phase 2 detox pathways. You can support liver function with DIM, calcium D glucarate, and NAC, which is N-acetylcysteine. And this can improve estrogen metabolism. Studies show that DIM helps shift estrogen metabolism towards a more protective pathway, reducing risks of estrogen dominance or deficiency. Let's have a quick real talk about something many of us don't think about enough: protecting our reproductive health from EMFs. EMFs, which are electromagnetic fields, are around us everywhere, from our phones to Wi-Fi, 5G towers, and even household electronics. But did you know that EMFs can impact sensitive areas of the body, including your ovaries? As women, protecting this vital part of our health is so important, especially if you are planning for your future, thinking about fertility, or maybe any other health issues or concerns you have with your ovaries. That's where Lila Quantum Tech's women's underwear comes in. This is no ordinary underwear, okay? It's infused with pure quantum energy and woven with silver fibers to block over 99% of measurable radiation, including 3G, 4G, and 5G signals. It's like giving your body and your ovaries a protective shield against harmful EMFs while staying comfortable and stylish. Lila Quantum Tech has created something truly special: durable antimicrobial underwear designed with your health and well-being in mind. Whether you prefer brief or bikini style, these are an absolute must for anyone looking to prioritize their reproductive health, which I know so many of us are. And here's the best part: you can get 2 pairs for $77 or 4 pairs for $149. And if you use my discount code BioHackingBrittany, you actually get a 10% discount on top of that bundle deal. So seriously, use it so you can save. Your health is worth it. Head to the link in my bio, on my show notes, on my website, and start to protect yourself today, starting from the inside out. Lila Quantum Tech, science meets self-care for every single part of you. I've taken all of those. I've taken NAC a lot. I actually should probably start taking NAC again now that I'm thinking about this. Great for detoxification and something that you can always kind of have in your back pocket and pull on in different scenarios that you might be in. And I've also taken DIM, and I will link to the products in the show notes and on my website for the ones that I recommend for this. And then we obviously need to get into lifestyle and stress management. So things that can help here, like, would be fitness. We do actually have to talk about fitness. So strength training and resistance exercise. This stimulates estrogen production by influencing the endocrine system. So a lot of research on this. We have also our sleep and circadian rhythms. So hormone production is heavily linked to circadian biology. So maintaining consistent sleep, 7 to 9 hours, is crucial. You can do things like blue light blocking, take magnesium, and early morning sunlight exposure can really help with kind of regulating our circadian rhythm. And then last but not least, we want to think about reducing cortisol and stress. So chronic stress depletes progesterone because the body prioritizes cortisol production in a process called the pregnenolone steal. Oh, I looked so much into this when I thought I might have PCOS. Very interesting. Meditation, adaptogenic herbs like ashwagandha and rhodiola, and breathwork can really help regulate cortisol. So all in all here, if you're dealing with low estrogen and progesterone, assuming that you have been tested, right? Like you've done a Dutch panel and you've taken a look at all of your hormones and your hormone metabolites, and you've seen, okay, this is low and this is low. And like you have the proof. It's not just something that you think you might be dealing with. These are some of the things that you can do. So you can bring in and focus on a whole foods based diet that's rich in fats and proteins. Maybe you add in these phytoestrogenic foods. You can experiment with bioidentical hormones. You can really focus on a detoxification through supplements, as well as, exercise, sauna, enough water. That kind of goes hand in hand with that liver detoxification. And then lifestyle and stress management, thinking about strength training for that estrogen production, which kind of stimulates the estrogen, making sure you're sleeping properly and reducing your cortisol and stress. That's kind of the holistic approach that I would take. And then and obviously, there's so many questions here that I have for this person, like, what supplements are you taking? What's your diet like? It's hard to kind of answer fully without knowing everything about their lifestyle, but start to stack some of these hacks and these things, and it can really help propel you forward. If I were you and I was dealing with low progesterone and low estrogen, I would do all of this. And I would test every 3 months until my levels were normal. And I would do a Dutch panel test. I will link Dutch in the show notes for you. Dutch is arguably the gold standard when it comes to hormone testing. It's the gold standard because it doesn't just look at, the 2 types of estrogen. It looks at multiple. It looks at the metabolites. It looks at the pathways. It looks at what makes estrogen and what are those levels at. Like, it's just very comprehensive. So it gives you much more data to work off of. So I would go from there. And I would do this, arguably for 6 months and see how you go and see what moves the needle, what doesn't move the needle for you. And then also I would have questions about like your menstrual cycle. What's your period like? How regular are you? Are you ovulating? Are you tracking your ovulation? Are you tracking your menstrual cycle in general? Like, if you want to have a baby one day, it's very, very important to be tracking your cycle right now. So strongly suggest diving into all of this, taking your time, starting to stack some of these hacks and these wellness practices and see how you go. Okay. The next question that I have, very specific question, is what are the connections between postpartum hormonal shifts and conditions like vertigo, migraines, and other neurological symptoms? I did a full podcast episode on this. I will link this for you in the show notes. Please go and listen to it. I had oh my gosh, I'm forgetting the medical term for her. Not audiologist. What is it? I'm forgetting. But she came on my podcast and we really went in depth with vertigo and migraines. And I talked to her about what does it mean if this shows up during pregnancy? And what does this mean if this shows up during postpartum? She's the expert. I'm not the expert in this space. So please listen to that episode. Again, it's in the show notes linked for you. But many women do experience postpartum vertigo or migraine associated dizziness, which can be linked to several biological factors. So the first one is estrogen and progesterone fluctuations, which I just talked about. But during pregnancy, estrogen and progesterone rise dramatically and then plummet postpartum. And you can actually feel it. Man, when I was pregnant, I was glowing. The hormones, yeah, it makes you like very emotional and very like sensitive, but man, the skin, the hair, it's just like you look like an angel. Like any woman during pregnancy, it's like you just glow so nicely. Anyway, so you definitely experience that rise dramatically. And then the moment you have your baby, like kid you not, the research is there. Right after birth, your hormones plummet. So this impacts your neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine. This can trigger migraines, vestibular dysfunction, and increasing dizziness and vertigo risk. Low estrogen also affects the inner ear, which disrupts balance perception, which may explain postpartum vertigo in some women. So what does this mean for you listening this woman in my DMs? I would get tested. Again, get tested through Dutch. I think they ship worldwide. And take a look at your estrogen and progesterone levels to see if that is actually what's causing your postpartum vertigo and your migraines. And if it's not causing that, great. Like if your levels are super healthy, then we can totally rule that out. But please get tested. As a biohacker and someone who's really into functional medicine and health, getting tested gives you the data to make better informed decisions and choices, which will lead to better results. So please get tested. Then we have nutrient depletion and mitochondrial dysfunction. So pregnancy depletes magnesium, B vitamins, CoQ10, and omega-3s, all crucial for nervous system function. Magnesium deficiency in particular is a well-documented trigger for migraines and vertigo. I took magnesium my entire pregnancy and I'm taking it postpartum. And I've actually increased my dose recently because I took a break and I really started to notice how stressed I felt and a little, I don't want to say depressed, but just like under the weather, like winter blues vibe. And I was like, I think my magnesium might be low. So I will link to the magnesium I use. I use the BiOptimizers magnesium. It is the magnesium I've been using for 3 years. They have a powder and they have a supplement form, a capsule form. It's the best. It has 7 types of magnesium in it. I take it every day. I have every single person in my family take magnesium. Magnesium is involved in over 300 different pathways in the body. So its importance cannot be stated enough. So please get on your magnesium for this. Same with, B vitamins. We lose B vitamins every single day. They are a water soluble vitamin, which means that we consume it and then we flush it out of the body. We don't store it very well. Same with CoQ10. I was taking this as well. And omega-3s. I take cod liver oil. I will link to the one that I take, which has omega-3s in it. And I take fatty 15, which is the essential fatty acid C15, which is almost like the elite version of omega-3s if you want. And this is great as well for everything. So I will link all that in the show notes. Don't worry about it, but take a look at your nutrients. You can test these as well and see if that could be a trigger for migraines and vertigo. If you don't want to test, you could also just get some magnesium, take it morning and night, kind of do a higher dose vibe with it and see what happens. See if you feel better. See if it makes a difference. Supplementing with magnesium glycinate, specifically riboflavin, which is vitamin B2, and CoQ10 has been shown to significantly reduce migraine frequency and severity. So my husband gets migraines sometimes, and I actually give him magnesium every single time. And I try to keep him having enough magnesium so that we can actually prevent the migraines as well. Also, you have sleep deprivation and autonomic nervous system dysfunction. Poor sleep postpartum affects cortisol and melatonin rhythms, which can contribute to vestibular dysfunction, like imbalance and dizziness. Studies suggest blue light exposure at night worsens migraine and vertigo symptoms by disrupting circadian biology. Obviously, postpartum is a really hard time to get good sleep. I'm almost at 7 months postpartum and I do not sleep through the night. My baby feeds twice a night at usually like 11 and 3. Okay. Like I haven't slept 8 hours in a row in, I don't even know how long. I didn't during pregnancy. And so what's 7 plus 9, 16. So I haven't slept through the night in 16 months. You get used to it. But that being said, I understand how hard it can be to have proper sleep during postpartum. There's some things that you can do to kind of make it easier. Get some red lights, get some blue blocking glasses, go to bed early, figure out a schedule that hopefully you have a partner who can help you or someone who can help you. Figure out something that allows you to get some more sleep would be my suggestion as well. Then there's the gut-brain axis and inflammation. So the postpartum gut health shifts due to hormonal changes, antibiotic exposure, and stress, leading to systemic inflammation. A disrupted gut microbiome affects histamine metabolism, which is strongly linked to migraines and vertigo episodes. Probiotics can really help with this. Fermented foods and an anti-inflammatory diet can help improve neurological symptoms. So there are definitely some solutions above and beyond this for postpartum vertigo and migraines. Hormone testing, like I said, checking your estrogen, progesterone, and cortisol levels can guide personalized interventions. Supplement support, magnesium glycinate, at least 400 milligrams daily. Riboflavin, which is vitamin B12, and CoQ10 around 100 to 300 milligrams daily, and omega-3s or get fatty 15, essential fatty acid, C15, which can help reduce neurological symptoms. You can also look at blood sugar balance. So insulin resistance postpartum can worsen dizziness. So making sure that you're eating protein-rich meals and avoiding sugar crashes can help stabilize energy. Understanding how hormones, nutrients, sleep, and gut health intersect can really help postpartum women and this person just manage vertigo and migraines naturally and a bit easier. I hope this kind of like gave you some direction here, very holistic approach, and also just encouraging you to get as much data and testing and information on your health as possible. Okay, last but not least, are castor oil packs really effective? Are they effective for hormone regulation and menstrual cycle support? Great question. I will link to the castor oil supplies that I have used. I did a lot of castor oil packs during my fertility days when I was regulating my cycle, when I was trying to get rid of my cysts. Oh my goodness. Like that. When was that? That was 2023. I did a lot of castor oil packs. I used to sit at my computer with a castor oil pack on while I was working during the day. That's like the point that I was at. So I have a lot of experience with castor oil packs. So castor oil has been used for centuries in traditional medicine, but modern science is now finally validating its benefits, particularly for hormone regulation. And I do have a blog post on this as well. So I will also link to that and show you how to do a castor oil pack if you're interested, like step by step. So castor oil packs support liver detoxification. The liver processes estrogen and other hormones through phase 1 and phase 2 detox pathways. Castor oil contains, I'm going to totally botch this. Let's see. Ricinolic. Oh my gosh, there's no way that you say it like that. Ricinoleic. It might be ricinoleic acid. And which I've only ever read, I've never actually heard someone say it out loud, which is why I don't know, which enhances liver enzyme function and promotes detoxification. This helps clear out excess estrogens that may be contributing to estrogen dominance or menstrual irregularities. It reduces inflammation and improves circulation. So castor oil packs can increase lymphatic drainage, supporting systemic inflammation and promoting blood flow to the reproductive organs. And this can help with painful periods, bloating, and uterine health. It stimulates the vagus nerve and lowers cortisol. So applying a warm castor oil pack to the abdomen activates the vagus nerve, promoting parasympathetic relaxation. And this helps to reduce stress, which in turn supports progesterone production since high cortisol depletes progesterone, which we talked about earlier. It also balances progesterone and estrogen. So studies have shown that supporting liver detoxification and gut health through that mechanism, castor oil indirectly helps regulate this ratio of hormones, which then improves the menstrual cycle and ovulation. So how to use a castor oil pack for hormonal health specifically. So you would buy organic castor oil, really easy to find, and you apply this to the lower abdomen. You cover with a cloth, like organic cotton cloth or a bamboo cloth, and then you place a heating pad on top of this for 30 to 45 minutes. And you do this for 3 to 4 times a week. Be aware that castor oil will not come out of fabric. So do not put this underneath a nice shirt or pants or underwear or anything like that, depending on where you're placing it. What I did was I put the castor oil on my skin. I put a old dishcloth that was made you cover it with the organic cotton cloth. But then on top of that, I did like an old dishcloth and like a drying cloth. And then I put my hot water bottle on top. And then I think I put another one on top. And then I would put my shirt over it because the oil will soak up into whatever it touches and then you cannot get it out. So just be really, really mindful of doing this. 30 to 45 minutes feels really nice. It feels really grounding 3 to 4 times a week. This is best done in the luteal phase of your menstrual cycle, which is after ovulation. And this supports progesterone production, or you can do it during the follicular phase to aid liver detox, which is before ovulation. So you don't want to be doing this during ovulation, right? Like when you see a change in your temperature, Maybe you're tracking your cycle with LH strips. Who knows? Or you don't want to do this during your period, like when you're actually menstruating. There's a lot of research that's still emerging around this, but castor oil packs are a low-risk natural method to improve liver function, support hormonal balance, and enhance menstrual cycle regularity. So I hope this was helpful. Again, I will link to my blog post on this that kind of walks you through it, gives you way more details so that you have the information. And castor oil packs are definitely becoming more and more popular. There's a company out there, actually, I think is it called Queen of Thrones? Let me look it up quickly. Yes, Queen of Thrones, wellness with castor oil packs. You can buy all the supplies through this company. A lot of people like them. You can buy their castor oil. You can buy any of their, let's see what they have, castor oil packs. Let's see what she includes here. I see people talking about this a lot on TikTok, actually. So I think it's a woman who started this for herself and now sells the product. So you can do it for the liver, for your thyroid, for your breasts. That's really cool. For kids, for your pelvis. I actually think I own one of these. They just look a little different now. For your back. Oh, for your eyes. Wow. And this for your hair. Oh my gosh, she's come out with a lot of products. I will link this for you to take a look at. If you're hearing this and you're thinking, okay, I just want to buy the solution. I don't want to have to get the cotton cloth and worry about the leaking of the oil. If you want a done for you product, I will link Queen of Thrones. I'm not affiliated with them whatsoever, but I will link it for you so that you can take a look at their products. Definitely support them. And I think I have the abdomen one. Mine's old though. It's an older design than the newer ones that are out, just from briefly looking at this. So I hope this was really helpful for you. I hope this gave you some insight into, biohacking motherhood and longevity and holistically healing your body through multiple different ways and depending on what you're dealing with. If you have any health questions, please send me a message on Instagram at BiOHACKINGBRITTANY. Thank you for listening. And please tune in to my episode that just released on Tuesday, my Genexa episode, all about clean medicine. I think you're going to get a lot out of that. Like I said earlier, I put out episodes every Tuesday and Friday, and I will continue to do so. If you want to support the show, that would be amazing. Please leave a review, a rating, a follow, a subscribe, whatever interaction you can do really helps the show grow. And that would mean the most to me. Thank you for listening, and I will catch you soon for another episode. Thanks for listening to another episode of Biohacking with Brittany. If you're interested in finding the show notes or the sponsors for this episode, you can do so on my website, which is biohackingbrittany.com. Remember to follow me on Instagram, where I'm most active. My handle is at biohackingbrittany. And if you're interested in working together and you want to email me directly, you can do that. My email is info@biohackingbrittany.com. And I look forward to hearing from you and having you tune in next week.